the Music Lens podcast with me, Alex Allegra.
And Katie Fee.
We're in a varied state of new space.
Yes. We're transitioning right now.
Yes.
So we have mics in our hands instead of on stands.
Yes.
Because the couch doesn't have legs and the stands are too tall for us to use them. So it's fine. It's a process and it will eventually look nicer. But I think this is fine.
I had a lot to do this week.
Yeah.
And we're slowly moving.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, well, you have time because your lease isn't up for a while. So
yeah. So
you have time to gradually move things instead of having to do it all in one long day. Alex went to sand my boots.
I did. I got very sick there. I don't know if it was a combination of you were sick, Brayden was sick, Brayden's father was sick, and I was around all these people before I left, and I just caught something, or if it was my body, when I tell you I have never been more stressed as I have been this last couple weeks, and in a while, I'll say. I don't know if I just caused myself to be sick finally when my body was able to relax for 5 seconds, and it was oh, haha, you're not doing well, we need to rest. But every time... So Friday, I was loving life. I was staying hydrated. I was I made it all the way to the end of Post Malone. I was having fun, you know. Yeah. I was doing all the things. I got back to my hotel room and I was hydrated. I was having aftercare, sun aftercare lotion on. I was I could do this all weekend. And then I was oh, tomorrow I'll go to the beach and because I don't have to, well, I had to be there kind of early, but I woke up and I was okay, not feeling the greatest. I was it's probably just allergies.
Yeah, it's hard to tell if it's allergies or a cold sometimes.
Yeah, it was just a lot of post-nasal drip, and not to be gross, yeah, but it was just that stuff in the back of your throat was I just felt congested, but nothing was coming out of me, right. You know,
yeah,
I wasn't sick, so I was okay, it's probably just allergies, but I was also I haven't been sick or had allergies in the last 2 years. I had allergies really badly the first couple of years I was down here, but I don't know, for some reason I've maybe adjusted a little bit better or what, but I haven't had allergy attacks even in Nashville here for a while somehow.
Yeah, sometimes traveling different places affects it too, because I remember going back home maybe last summer, and then I worked the day after I had gotten back, and I think just that shift of geography or something hit me, and then I had allergies all day from that, and it was okay, so now going forward, take off the day after you get back for recovery.
Well, and that's why I was okay, well, I'm at the beach, I haven't been to a beach in a while, whatever, probably I'm just a little out of my sorts. I did get a gross warning. I did get a nosebleed at the very end of the night, and I didn't have anywhere to trigger a warning for grossness right now. I didn't really have anywhere to clean up said nosebleed, and it was in the middle of Post Malone, and so I just swallowed all the blood that was dripping down my nose, and I woke up the next day, and I was okay, well, my body doesn't like when I do stuff like that.
Well, yeah.
So I was maybe it's just all the blood that dripped down my throat. Maybe it had a reaction. It just didn't sit well. Yeah. You know. And so I was trying to fight it, and I'm finally I get this really good honey drink from one of the stands, and I was my throat felt so good all of a sudden, so I was okay, I can do this.
There we go.
But then I was I just don't think I can make it all the way. I'm still a little congested, so sorry. I don't think I can make it all the way to the end of the night. And so I left after Riley Green and went back and just hung out, and I missed Brooks and Dunn, which I was a little upset about. And then I woke up the next day and I woke up in the middle of the night and I was freezing cold. So I'm in a sweatshirt and sweatpants and under my covers and just shaking.
So chills or okay.
And then I woke up and I luckily I stopped. There was a convenience store next to the beach. I stopped and grabbed some Mucinex that had acetaminophen in it. So
okay.
I woke up sweating my butt off in the morning, so I was like, okay, I think I broke a fever. And then after that, I was like, okay, just go back to sleep. Like, we'll just make it when we can for the first act. Like, I have to get to. And luckily only one of our because I was there for work, so one of our clients was there that night. So I was like, okay, I just really have to make it just to one performance tonight, even though I wanted to make it to at least the last couple of the night, because it was like Bailey Zimmerman, Wiz Khalifa, who I really wanted to see, and then Morgan Wallen. And I just wanted to see it just to see. It was his festival. I was like, I might as well. All of a sudden, I just felt so nauseous, and I was like, I cannot go down there in this condition. So I just turned around and just sat on the bus and said, I'm good. I'm just going to go back to the hotel. I didn't even get off.
Oh.
And so then I just like finally got some food in me when I got back to the hotel, and then I was a little better after that.
Yeah.
But no, it was rough, and I like could not do anything. And then traveling on Monday was rough too. That was a 10-minute story that did not need to be 10 minutes long. I'm so sorry. I traveled home Monday, and I was still kind of but at least I like made it, and I like crashed on like the floor because I couldn't get into this house at the new house, and I literally slept on an empty floor at the old house in a pile of clothes that was still there because I was that like, I am so sick. I'm just gonna sleep on a pile of clothes. Brady was not happy. He was like, I would have done something. I was like, yeah, I don't care. I just need to fucking sleep right now.
Yeah.
And I've just been recovering all week, and I like canceled a whole bunch of stuff because I was like, clearly my body is telling me like, you've been going too much. And we're about to start busy season, and every weekend essentially I have somewhere to be, so I can't really do that.
Yeah. I was sick on Friday and then part of Saturday too. So, because Alex was like, "Are you gonna drive down still?" And I'm like, "No."
If it would have worked out so well that both of us hadn't been sick, it would have been such a fun.
So I just was like, okay, I'll just go home or whatever after appointments. And then I got home and I passed out right away. And then I woke up when Sam left because he was my pillow. So obviously I woke up when he had to get up to go to work. And then I passed out again for like most of the afternoon. I'm like, okay, I think my body hates that I worked like overtime this week because I'm used to working like 37-ish hours at my job, and I did 41, so I guess an extra 4 hours made a difference or something. My body's like, no, you're gonna sleep. You're rotting on the couch all day today. You're not doing anything productive. So yeah, we were both just kind of having some issues.
And you know what, on the way home I like called my mom because I was like, I don't know how. There was like a mom with her child, and I was like on the plane, and I was like, if I had a fucking child right now and I had to take care of it while I felt the way that I did, like, I don't know how moms do it. They don't really get sick days. Like, their child still like bothers them, and I'm like, I didn't want anyone to come within like 50 feet of me. I was like, please, everybody, you're too much. Like, get the fuck away from me. Don't touch me. Like, I'm, like, on the plane, like, next to the window. Like, how can I be as, like, comfy far away from the person next to me as possible? And I was just like, I don't know how you people do it, because I would have been like, Brayden, it's your job. I'm done.
Yeah. But yeah. Morgan Wallen's album came out on the Friday, so I feel like I'm curious if that was intentional. I would hope it is, because I think that's a smart move to have the album out the same weekend as his festival, just from a marketing standpoint, because then you have all these people going to this festival that you can be like, hey, stream the new album.
Yeah, because I will say not a lot of people, like, there was plenty of people that were there for him, but also, like, I knew there was plenty of people that were just there for the lineup in general, and not really necessarily, like, I feel like when I went to Gazebo Fest, a lot of people were just there for like SZA and it being Jack Harlow's festival, and were there for Jack Harlow, and that was it. This one felt like everyone was kind of there for everybody. Okay. So, like, no one felt like, oh, we missed out by not going to, at least the people that I interacted with, no one was like, oh, well, I don't really care if I miss one or two people. Like, not.
differing opinions, I would say, online of what I've seen for the chatter with this album, and I think we texted back and forth about it a little bit.
Most people had the same opinion.
Some people were like, no, like, well, some people are like 37 songs like is too much. Morgan Wallen cannot hold my attention for that long, and then other people were like, yeah, he can. And so I don't know.
The last album was good enough to have all the songs on it, I thought.
I still felt like it was too long.
It was long.
I was like, are we done yet?
It really does feel like he just, like, there's no quality control. It's just like every song that he writes just gets put on. It feels like that,
yeah. I think it kind of dilutes the quality of the album because there's songs on it that could have been cut. And if it was a shorter album and you focused on only putting out the stronger songs, it would be a better overall album. So I'm curious if like, but then again, I guess it's just maybe from so many people listening to it just to like hear it. What chart was it? There was a chart where he held like all the top 40 spots because there's 37 songs, and then I think there might have been 3 others, or at least 37 out of the 40 were him. So that might just be from people listening, even if they don't necessarily like it, because
I knew like, everyone that was at the festival kind of just listened to it just to listen to it. Yeah, just they were there for it. So
I mean, you have to listen at least once to see if you like it, I guess, if you're interested in just seeing if it's good. But yeah, I just think it got kind of diluted. There's a lot of songs where it was kind of just the same thing. Like
starting songs the album that sounded off with the same songs essentially was like already and then Tate McRae's song was not good at all. No. And I thought the collab already when it was announced was like, why? And I feel like she is not promoting it like at all, and maybe that's fine. On purpose. But I think she would have, if she would have done it with Megan Maroney, because she already did like that little guest thing with her, it would have made more sense because it was already like a little teaser. And then also I just felt like Megan Maroney's vibe fits a lot more better, or fits better than Morgan Wallen's vibe.
Well, it was such a big deal, I guess, to people of, oh, this is the first time he's had a female feature on a song, because he's never collaborated with a female artist before.
Really?
Yeah, and
Morgan, come on. I know you sleep with so many, you might as well get one of them on a fucking song.
Okay.
That wasn't a slut-shaming thing. Well, it was for him, but... And that's allowed. We need to shame some of these men more.
But it's like hyped up so much because it's like, oh, he's never collaborated with a female artist before, and then it wasn't as good as expected. So that's a thing too that was like kind of a letdown, I guess, for people. But yeah, and there's some songs where I'm like, okay, lyrically this is good. Like
the songs that I really remember.
And there's already like a TikTok trend of TN with like clips of like different things in Tennessee, which is cool. But lyrically, I like that song, but I feel like it's not dynamic at all for the instrumentation behind it. It's kind of the same beat for the whole thing. And I'm like, we need some more dynamic stuff going on and variety throughout.
That's very much a Morgan Wallen production thing, though. Like, he doesn't really it's a very consistent song.
Yeah, I don't know, but I like obviously I like the Eric Church one. I think we both went through like trying to figure out. I knew number 3 would be like NASCAR, because number 3 you just think Dale Earnhardt, and for some reason I was like, who's number 7? And I think that track list had to come out the weekend that my brother and sister-in-law were here. And since like he knows more with NASCAR, I was like, is there a number 7 that's significant? And he didn't think of anything. And then the song came out. I'm like, Jack Daniels.
Yeah. No, I did
so
too.
not even like, anything with sports or NASCAR. I mean, NASCAR is sport, but like NASCAR or other sports, but alcohol. I'm like, oh, okay, that checks out. So, and Chiefs had on their marquee sign, they had number 3 on one side and number 7 on the other side. At least the Monday after it had come out, since I wasn't downtown during the weekend, but it was kind of promoting it as well a little bit. So yeah, Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm interested to see award show wise the next year if it does anything, because I feel like the last album was nominated for things and it didn't need to be. So we'll see if it gets put on there, just because I think sometimes people get nominated for things when they're not necessarily deserving, and it's just because of the name of the person. It's like, we're just automatically like put this album on there because it's Morgan Wallen, and I don't know if that's warranted or earned, I guess, quality wise of the album. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I guess, did you have anything else to say before we jump into our actual topic for the week? Oh, I'm wearing my own merch because I have a song coming out in June, and by the time this episode's out, it will be announced to the public. So I was like, I guess I'll wear this just to remember to bring it up.
Coming Tuesday.
Yeah.
Not last Tuesday.
No.
Okay.
At the time of recording, I sent out an email to my email list announcing it. So if you want to join my email list to like know stuff early, that'd be cool. But I have a song coming out June 13th. It's called Midnight Margaritas. Alex and I wrote it together with our friend Sarah, and I have a t-shirt that's, my hair's in the way. I don't know if you can see it, and also I feel like I can't go too far from the mic, but
Are they on sale?
So I don't remember when I scheduled a post, but I'm basically gonna post about them and do like a pre-order situation, because realistically I don't think it makes sense to buy in bulk because I don't know how many I'll actually sell. And so I think it makes more sense financially to just like kind of make made to order situation. So I'm gonna just kind of take orders of, you can email or DM or whatever, and I'll have a post of the 2 or 3 designs. I think it's like 2 different crop top designs and one that's a full length, because not everyone wants a crop top. So I'm gonna do that, and yeah. So what do you have for a topic, Alex?
So a couple podcast episodes ago, because I was going to say a couple weeks, but I think it's been a lot longer than that at this point. We talked about Anna Voss and Anna Voss and all of her stuff, sorry. And how her sound was really influenced as Laurel Canyon pop, right? Country.
Yeah, she describes her sound as Laurel Canyon country, and I think we may have we were trying to figure out where that was, and I think I misspoke and said that it's like near San Diego where she grew up, but it's actually what would you call it, a neighborhood from or in LA and Hollywood type area, and there's actually like history behind that and stuff. It's not just like a name, it's like actually a music mecca kind of place. So
a music mecca for the 60s and 70s, really.
Yeah, so Alex did some research with it to get a little more knowledge behind it. I think this kind of goes with our series of like music cities. Yeah, so sure. Getting into more detailed or more niche places, I would say, because we did LA, Nashville, and New York already. So now getting into different places that aren't thought of as often.
Laurel Canyon and its characteristics of the creative community. So Laurel Canyon was home to various members of the Byrds, The Doors, Love in Buffalo, Springfield, Frank Zappa, Mamas and Papas, Crosby, Stills and Nash, and Joni Mitchell. It gave us folk rock, country rock, and a wealth of singer-songwriters. It hosted a second wave of artists, Jackson Browne, Linda Ronstadt, Little Feat, and the Eagles. For the best part of a decade, it was the focus of a creative community that was collaborative, countercultural, innovative, and highly productive. So some of the characteristics included it was secluded, convenient, and cheap. It's a woodsy,
makes sense for artists when they're like coming up and stuff of like, hey, we don't have money, so we need a cheap place, and then it's like you all kind of
it becomes like an artist
gather together. You end up
areas
in the same area just because of, I guess, necessity of not making any money yet. So then it's like you all end up in the same place, and then you can collaborate together.
So it's a woodsy neighborhood in the Hollywood Hills. Though its center Centra runs Laurel Canyon Boulevard, connecting the region to the more urban parts of Los Angeles to the north and south. With its dirt roads and hilltop views, traditional timber houses, large windowed and spacious green leafy gardens, fragrant with eucalyptus, it offered peace and tranquility to young musicians hoping to write songs, while also a short drive to the big city to perform at venues at night. At night, you could hear the sound of coyotes, owls, and acoustic guitars. Dave Crosby from the Byrds said, "It was so magical. Literally within 4 to 5 minutes, you could be down on the Sunset Strip into Hollywood." You could be down Sunset Strip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes, it is not far from the Sunset Strip. That is the point. Yes.
So, didn't we have a God professor from the Turtles?
I don't know if I took any classes, but there's like a summer class.
Okay.
Where they do like a tour every year, and it's basically like, I guess you learn how to do things related to a tour.
Well, I guess the Turtles were also a big people in that area as well, so that's why. It just, I was like, oh. Anyway, so it was a very small community of musicians and long-haired weirdos, says Mickey DeLuns from the Monkees. I'm so sorry if I said that name wrong. The enclave began with Frank Zappa, and an assortment of Byrds and the Monkees settled there. Then, following the Byrds' 1965 breakout hit, their electric cover of Dylan's Mr. Tambourine Man. I tried to say trombone. Yeah. Musicians from all over wanted to check out the emergent folk rock scene. Buffalo Springfield, for example, was born after Richie Fury from Ohio and Stephen Stills from Texas ran into two Canadians, Neil Young and Bruce Palmer, driving a Pontiac hearse in the opposite direction of Sunset Boulevard. Soon the creative colony reached critical mass. The young musicians were a short drive from clubs like the Whiskey Go-Go and the Troubadour, where they could meet up, watch other bands, and perform. During the day, they would bump into friends at the Laurel Canyon County store, and after a show, they would adjourn to Ben Frank's diner. In 1968, Graham Nash arrived in LA from England without friends. He was scooped up by Cass and taken in her convertible Porsche to a party at her house. There he met David Crosby and Stephen Stills, with whom he would subsequently form Crosby, Stills, and Nash. An important part of Laurel Canyon is apparently to keep an open mind.
Okay.
There was no sidewalks. There was no regimented lines. No one locked their doors, said Joni Mitchell. Part of the appeal of Laurel Canyon was that it stood apart from convention and conformity. Residents kept odd hours, grew their hair long, smoked a lot of weed, and fell freely from one relationship to another. It had its own countercultural identity.
I mean, it's the late 60s, so right? It makes sense.
In the Laurel Canyon scene, we were at the very center of this beautiful bubble of creativity and friendship and sex and drugs and music, said Graham Nash. And apparently it's written about in one of their songs called Our House. I'll light the fire, you place the flowers in the vase that you bought today, staring at the fire for hours and hours while I listen to you play your love songs all night long for me, only for me. The Laurel Canyon scene did not just attract musicians, it was a magnet for ambitious business people in search of the next big thing. In 1971, David Geffen and Elliot Roberts founded Asylum Records. In their first year, they signed Jackson Browne, Linda Ronstadt, Joni Mitchell, and Glenn Frey. It wasn't competitive. People really were encouraging each other. Go for it. Do the best you can. Can't wait to hear your next song, said photographer Newert Wild. I've never heard that name before. I'm so sorry. We often think of creative people as secretive, paranoid, and protective, but the community in Laurel Canyon was quite the reverse. They would trade ideas, experience, and contacts, and young artists learned from the veterans. I would sit with people at the Troubadour and I would ask questions. I was trying to collect as much information as possible that could help me get to where I wanted to be, said Glenn Frey from the Eagles. The story of the Eagles illustrates this collaborative culture. They began life as Linda Ronstadt's backing band, which I did know from their documentary.
I think it was in the Hall of Fame, Country Music Hall of Fame, like, what do you call it? The LA exhibit that talked about like country in LA, but also how it like connects with all these other things too. So yeah, I knew that from that.
They began their first hit single, "Take It Easy," was a song that Jackson Browne started and Glenn Frey finished. And when sales of their sophomore album, Desperado, were modest, Ronstadt kept them in the spotlight by releasing her own version of the title track. It was a great scene because a lot of people trying to write songs and trying to make records were very supportive of one another. Jackson Browne was a mentor to all of us because he had broken through first, and we all aspired to what he has. To write like that and have that kind of insight, said Don Henley. From the Eagles, if you didn't know. I feel like that one was obvious, but maybe not. Glenn Frey is also pretty obvious, but I kept saying his name, so. They treated every ending as a new beginning. Inevitably, there was a good deal of volatility, but I can't read today. Volatility within this youthful creative scene. Often, an ending led to a new beginning. When in 1967 Crosby was fired by the Byrds, he went on to form Crosby, Stills and Nash. When in 1968 Young walked out on Buffalo Springfield, he joined Crosby, Stills and Nash, and whilst also starting a solo career. When the Byrds took on Graham Parsons that same year, they were reborn as a country rock band, which in turn spawned the Flying Burrito Brothers. Have you ever heard of the Flying Burrito Brothers?
I feel like it might have been on the tree. There's a tree in the
I was like, what tree?
There's a tree in the exhibit. Like,
yes,
like a family tree type thing. Because there's so many that are interconnected because they keep moving groups and stuff. Not a literal tree. I know.
Laurel Canyon also teaches us about how creative communities fall apart. Inevitably, with success came wealth and an appetite for bigger homes and more affluent neighborhoods. Prosperity and fame also led to fragmentation and eroded the culture of collaboration that had been so fruitful. Being successful, we've all developed our own ways of life here in LA, and we don't affect one another as creatively as we did when we were all dependent on each other, said Cass Elliot of the Mamas and the Papas. As people became very, very successful, the camaraderie changed. People started guarding their songs. You didn't want to give up one of your melodies to somebody else, said Elliot Roberts, manager and co-founder of Asylum Records. The violence of the Manson murders put a spotlight on the dark ways of hippie scenes. Doors were locked and guns were bought. Weed was replaced by cocaine. There was a sense of an ending. Of course, there's a tendency to mythologize history, to reflect on the past with rose-tinted spectacles. Some of the witness testimonies about Laurel Canyon don't exactly tally. A writer can move time around. You can take incidents that happened over the span of 15 years and make them occur on the same moment. Maybe the truth doesn't rhyme, said Joni Mitchell. Nonetheless, between the mid-60s and the early 70s, the music community in Laurel Canyon produced some quite stunning music and set the direction of American rock for years to come. It teaches a great deal about the importance of place and culture, about collaboration and the cross-pollination of ideas. These lessons may be all the more relevant as we reflect on the future of agencies, offices, and departments in the wake of the pandemic. Oh, this is just a wrap-up. Any hoozles. Was that was that worth a read?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting.
So
I liked that sometimes the truth doesn't rhyme.
Yeah.
I liked that quote.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense of like, yeah, people, not rose-colored glasses, people like putting a like glamour on life, I guess, of like not telling it like it is necessarily in songs, of making it more romantic or just like romanticizing stuff because the truth doesn't work sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I just feel like reading more about this also just gave me more insight into like, because I remember the Eagles documentary from so long ago now, and I want to rewatch it eventually, but it just like gives more like the context of like that collaboration time, because I was like watching that and I was like, oh, I didn't know so many groups were connected like that.
Yeah.
So it just kind of gives more insight of to like, okay, that is just like the history of Laurel Canyon there. And I really, Katie honestly mentioned doing a thing about it, and I was like, there can't be that much. Like, it's probably just some random little thing. Like, I don't get it. Why does she keep pushing me to do it?
I just was like, well, because I think I Googled it when listening back to the episode after we released it or whatever. I was like, I feel like I need a fact check as of where Laurel Canyon country is. And the Google, like, results, like, had all this information of all these groups. I'm like, okay, well, Joni Mitchell checks out with Anna because I know how much she loves Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, oh, all these other people are in it too, and it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I guess I didn't even think when I first heard that term used by her that it was like a music thing, if that makes sense. It was just like more vibes of like maybe it's just like,
well, it is
because she has like Canyon Child on the album and stuff.
Yeah.
Like a lot of, like we've talked about, like a lot of nature elements. So I thought it was just like, oh, there's this place like geographically and like
the deserts of California.
Yeah, just visually with the nature things. Like I thought she was just talking more about that. I didn't realize it was a legit music community back in the day. So
it all just reminds me of that time frame when I think of like the Eagles and stuff. I always just think of,
I guess,
the country bears.
Okay, I think that ties in too with her her outfits and stuff is very like flowy and like 60s and 70s kind of like boho and all that, so it makes sense with that too. So now it makes more sense to me learning more of the background.
More collaborations there, Anna. Like, we need to be more feature-esque.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Have you heard of Laurel Canyon before? Is this all new information to you as well? If you have heard of it and have more insight, we would love to learn more. So you can send that information to us at themusiclenspodcast@gmail.com. You could comment on our YouTube video for this episode or on our socials. Our socials are at the Music Lens Podcast. So you can follow us there, keep up with us, and all the things we're doing, I guess. Rate and review this episode if you liked it, and share it with people so we can help with growing our audience, and it helps the algorithm as well. You could follow Alex at Alex Allegra Music and stream Ego, their latest song, and you can follow me at KDP Music and pre-save Midnight Margaritas. So,
and we will see you next time.
See you next time. Yes.
Bye.
Bye.